Hi guys, welcome back to another video. You might recognize this page because I've just been doing the lemons on this side, but today we're talking hair, and not just any hair. As you can see, I have not decided to go for realistic hair whatsoever. We're talking very specifically here anime style hair. What I mean by that is, in some illustrations, particularly by Japanese artists, will have this sort of more anime style face. Some of the features are slightly more exaggerated, like the eyes are bigger, and it's a beautiful style. But what it does mean is it allows you to be a bit more creative, a bit looser when it comes to your colours and your mixing. I've gone for this sort of pink purple hair. It wasn't particularly inspired deliberately by any particular anime, but I do suggest looking at, screenshots of things like Sailor Moon, Studio Ghibli films, anything to give you just a feel for what they are. But when it comes to anime hair, apart from you don't need to be particularly realistic with the colours, other things to note are you can see I've left completely white highlights in the hair. That's very deliberate. Anime hair in style is quite low contrast, has white highlights, and generally doesn't actually take that much work. Now, you can do this hair in 3 colours. This is basically 3 colour hair. I have added more for some of the highlights. You can see there's some colour in there, but technically you can do this hair in 3 colours. So let's start. I've got hot pink to start with. This is quite a useful image if you're just starting here because it does have some grey scale, so you can see where you need to put the shadows. But I'm gonna start with the hot pink just to get a sense of where the colour needs to be. Okay, then I've got lavender. It's a slightly deeper colour. You can see that even though I'm going with a fantasy style hair, I'm still keeping that technique of long flicking strokes. The hair should still look realistic, just not to perhaps the extent of a more natural hair tone. Okay. Then for the shadows, I've got Parma violets. I really like this colour combo. I think it works well. Just because I'm using it on hair, you could use it easily on clothing. It's going to be more shadow here because her face is naturally going to be casting this part of the hair in shadow. Then I'm going to come back with the hot pink. And then next up is my teensy white. And I'm going quite hard pressure here now. One, this paper can take it because it's quite textured. But like I said, anime hair has very strong highlights. And you're not going to lose the hair texture by doing that. You're still going to be able to see the pencil strokes. Once that's done, you then can come back in again to brighten up where you want to. It's personal preference how much colour you want to add. You can also sort of bring some dark streaks up if you want a little bit more realism. That's looking pretty good. Okay, so now we're going to more of the optional colours. If you want to add a bit more shadow, like I've done here around her ear by her neck, then I've got Imperial Violet. It's not a Prismacolor I use a lot, but it really is a lovely colour. I'm just going to set some of these strands back from each other, which is going to make the hair strands look more 3D. Already you can see the difference. You can also use, if you feel that some of the tooth of the paper is coming through too much, you can also use a blender pencil on top. Now another option, if you want to add to the shadows a little bit more colour, you can see there's sort of different colours in her hair, which I've added to suggest perhaps different light reflections and things. I've got a Luminance here, light cobalt blue, but in the Prismacolors, just use powder blue. This I'm going to specifically keep to these shadowed areas. It's just to suggest a different tone of shadows. And then as a highlight, I had the Canary yellow. You might remember that I used it in these lemons. I am bringing it into the hair. Only little areas though. Not doing it all over, just in a few areas. To help that blend that out, I've got cream. And that's it. I'm not going to then do too much yellow because I do want her hair pink. So I can do another section. So in with the hot pink. Don't ever think when you're looking at a page that you're limited to necessarily natural hair colours. Not only do people dye their hair, but you know, in anime and animation, characters have hair colours of the rainbow, so you can honestly go pretty crazy. Lavender again. And you're not just limited to like pinks, purples, you can do turquoises. The turquoises and the Prismacolors work gorgeously together. This is the Parma violet. You do want to be quite sparing with the shadows. You don't want them to be too deep. Like I said, anime hair is actually quite low contrast, so you just want enough to suggest a difference in layers of the hair. Here's that white. Back in with the hot pink. It still does take a bit of layering. Now I'm probably going to get my blender to do the rest of this. Here's the blended version. Nothing photogenic about blending, but it does do wonders. Okay, so now I'm going to go with Imperial Violet to set some of these strands back, particularly here where the hair meets the fringe. You'll be able to tell looking at your picture which strands need to be. Just to find a bit more. Blend that out with a bit of Parma. You can leave some pretty white strands in there. That's not a problem. The lighting on this is more or less sort of quite fantasy-like anyway. It's probably got more than one light source. quite a pastel look, which I think suits this page. Okay, so then I've got the light cobalt blue. I'm going to bring that into a few places. You might not be able to see it on screen, but it does change the colour a bit. Just defining that a bit. Right, and then some of the yellow. Okay, so I think I'm going to put the hair curves here, so it's going to catch the light. So I think there's going to be some yellow there. I think a little bit here. I might suggest some there on that highlight. You can also tone down the yellow with the white. Right, well, I'm pretty happy with how that looks. This is more or less just what I call sort of, this is a sort of a finishing touch stage. You can go back in and just touch up whatever you think needs touching up until you're happy with it, really. But I think that looks like a pretty cool effect, and it's definitely one to use on anime pictures like this and other Japanese colouring books. I hope that was useful and that tackling crazy coloured hair like this isn't as scary now. Thanks for watching.